Well, we want to say that
Thank you, first of all.
never be able to thank you enough for allowing us to intrude on your house.
Oh, you're going to make me cry. I can't do that.
I know you don't see it as an intrusion, but we certainly do. You packed 2 more people and all our clothes and all what's happening in your house.
Right.
We'll never be able to thank you enough for that. So
You never have to.
Hey everyone, don't forget to subscribe, like, share. To My Prep Plus, a marketing consulting company connecting people and professionals from all walks of life. I am your host, Giuliano. We all have a story to tell. In our weekly series, we'll introduce you to people who will share their personal and professional journeys with you. With great honor, this week's guests are the Collards, both George and Beverly. Welcome.
Thank you.
Short introduction. George, Bev, my wife Daria, and I met in Twentynine Palms, California in 2016 while attending Blessed Sacrament Church. George was still working on Marine Corps base and volunteering his time at the church. George served 20 years in the United States Marine Corps, and he and his wife grew up in Rhode Island. They would eventually marry and then begin their journey together. Please allow me to introduce both George and Bev. So, very simple. This conversation, we start with where you came from, where you're at now, and where you see yourself in the future. And with that, we'll start with where you came from.
Well, we came from Albion, which is the next town over or something. I was originally born in Pittsfield, Mass., and we moved to Albion when I was a child, I guess. And we were raised together. Our mothers went to school together, so we knew each other from grade school on up. So
we don't know a time when we didn't know each other.
that's right. We don't.
We grew up together, went to school together. Then for high school, we separated at that point. She went to girls' school, and I went to vocational school.
But we weren't a couple when we were kids.
No.
He was the boy with the guys walking down the street on one side. I was with the girls, and they used to throw rocks or snowballs or.
That correction. Never threw rocks. We did throw snowballs. But so we never. I took her to a junior prom, I think it was.
Right.
I took her junior prom, and her friend did her hair for that prom, and it was a god-awful hairdo.
It really was.
It was it looked like a bird's nest. It was just horrible. So I took her to the prom, we did all that, and then
That was
it
it.
was
A
like
wrap for a long
goodbye
time.
from that point.
It was an awful hairdo. I don't know what she was thinking, but it was too late to do anything about it.
So I joined the Marine Corps and went
Years,
overseas, and we didn't communicate for a couple of years, I guess, 2 or 3 years, until I was in Okinawa.
Right.
And we started communicating again, and then kept communicating after that.
And actually, you asked your father to ask my father if you could write to me.
That's right,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So then I came home from Okinawa, and we dated on and off after
I
that.
guess so, yeah.
Just constantly. I went from Okinawa to Cherry Point, North Carolina, and I drove from Cherry Point, North Carolina, to Rhode Island, Albion, Rhode Island, every weekend for 8 months.
Wow.
To see her. I drive left on Friday afternoon, got here Saturday morning early.
Something like that, yeah.
Then we went out, did what we wanted to do, and then went to church Sunday morning.
Wow.
I left here by noon Sunday morning, got back to Cherry Point at 4 o'clock in the morning to go back to work. So we did that for 8 months.
I don't even remember the time frame. I'm surprised you do. 8 months, okay.
Yeah.
So, how long were you in the Marine Corps at this point?
At that point, I was in the Marine Corps 4 years.
Okay.
I was just getting ready to re-enlist at that point.
Yeah.
That's when I did re-enlist. I was at Cherry Point and changed MOSs to air control.
Yeah.
and I got transferred to California to go to school, control school.
Right, 29 Palms.
At that point, we weren't married. We were engaged at that point, not married.
Wow.
So I went to California. Bev stayed in Rhode Island.
Yeah, I was working. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we shocked her mother, because we were engaged and we hadn't set a real date yet. And since I was in California and she was here, we both saying, this ain't working. I don't want to be apart anymore. I want to be together. So we told her mother that we were getting married in March. This was probably like
6 months
October,
before.
November
It wasn't too
of
far.
68. We were going to get married March of 69, and her mother said, I don't know, but hell no, that's too soon. We can't plan a wedding that fast. But we ended up doing it.
Yeah, we did.
So,
We married on March 15th of 69.
Wow. And that's right. You guys are going to be celebrating your 55th.
55th in
Yeah.
March of this
March, yeah.
Wow.
year. So
Long time.
yes,
It sounds like a long time, but it's
gone by
fast.
so fast.
It's gone by fast.
Wow.
Yeah. And we have 2 children. 2 children, our own natural children. We adopted 2 children. We have, how many grandchildren do we have?
Oh, we have five
We have
grandchildren. Five grandchildren.
and 4 great-grandchildren.
4 great grandchildren.
Yeah.
Wow.
4 or 5.
The family's growing. You have one on the way, right? A grandchild.
4,
Great-grandchild.
Great grandchild.
5 great grandchildren.
Right.
Okay.
And a great-grandchild on the way.
We lose track.
Big family. It's growing.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
growing.
So let's get back to each of you have siblings.
Yes.
So we'll start with Bev. Bev, how many siblings do you have?
5.
Okay.
4 sisters. Yeah. 4 sisters and a brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're currently in one of your sister's
The
houses.
baby sister.
Okay,
Right.
Lynn.
She was the baby, the little flower girl at our wedding.
and Lynn was gracious enough to have us in her house.
Right.
So we're thankful. And then George.
I have 2 siblings.
Okay.
An older sister, 5 years older than me, who was in Florida. And I have a younger brother, 18 years younger than me, who's in St. Thomas, living in St. Thomas and working there.
St. Thomas is in.
The Caribbean or something, isn't it?
The Bahamas?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere down
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the islands.
there. So,
Something like that.
yeah, so
Yeah.
for quite a few years he worked for cruise ships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then quite a few years after that he worked for NASCAR, driving one of their tractor trailers, going from place to place.
That's right.
Very nice. So okay. So the point is, you come from loving, caring family members.
Yes.
The family was very tight.
We lived about 5 houses apart.
Right. A small town.
Yeah. Now, so in Rhode Island, growing up in this time period, what years were we looking at?
60s.
60s.
We were born in 47,
Yeah.
and I left in 65. So up that whole time we lived in Albion.
And went to school together. And
Now, how much different do you think Rhode Island, Albion was in comparison to today? Because you're back here for a visit.
right.
How do you think the time has changed really since growing up in this area to what you see today?
Actually, we drove through Albion, it didn't look all that much different. Seriously.
The central part of Albion as we knew it, there is now Kirkbury Estates, which all developed after the fact, but the core of Albion that we knew is
the
very
same.
much the same as
Yeah.
it was. It's really retained its
Right.
uniqueness.
Houses all look the same.
Wow.
and
yeah.
whatnot, yeah.
It's
Has the
nice.
community changed at all? Is there?
We don't really know.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
I went to our church about
Oh,
3
that's
weeks
right.
ago, and I was really pleased to see that the inside was totally as it was.
Wow.
55 years ago
Yeah.
or more.
Now, do you connect with? Do you have any connections still? Did you talk to anyone still in that area, or have you since grown
We've
apart?
Well, he has family there.
And we kind of stay in touch with a few people through Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook has an Albion group.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they kind of stay together and stuff, but talk back to each other.
I don't do the Facebook, so he's the one who does it.
But it's really, really nice to come back. I mean, it was the things that have changed is at the bottom of the hill used to be Berkshire Hathaway Mills, big
Right.
fine linen mill where they put out the fine linen, which is now an apartment. They've changed it
That's
into
true.
an apartment complex.
But all in all, the houses we grew up in all look the same.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed on the main street of Albion.
The house
Okay.
that I grew up in, both
Which is
houses,
School
I
Street.
grew up on the corner of School Street, Main Street. That's still there. Looks identical as it did
Yeah.
before. 75 School Street, where I moved to in my early teens, very early teens, that's still there. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, where Bev grew up, 34th
34th
School
School Street.
is no longer there. It was sold. Fire department bought it, and then they built a big fire department complex in that
Yeah.
area.
So it's gone.
But
Okay.
but the rest of it's
Yeah.
I Kirkbury Country Club. I caddied up there. I was a caddy for
That's
years
right.
up there.
And my parents owned an insurance agency in Albion,
Wow.
the Studley Insurance Agency. Dad did that for years. Mom was his secretary, and Dad walked to visit, to meet the clients and to sell insurance. He walked from house to house to do that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was such a small town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So, okay. No, just so we can get a good sense of kind of the time period and the upbringings, because what was prevalent in that time period, communication wise, how did, other than face to face, writing back and
That was
forth?
about
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
Used to
Yeah.
write letters. That's the only communication we
Right.
had. I can remember. So I don't know why, but I can remember the first TV
Yeah.
that we had. It was one of those wooden boxes with a little screen about 10 inches around, something like that.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years later, we got a color TV, which meant that Dad brought home this kind of clear plastic that had blue, green, and some other, and he stuck it on the TV.
And that's how you made a color
That's
TV.
what we
Color
made a
TV.
color TV back then.
Wow.
And we had 3 stations. We had CBS, NBC, and
ABC.
ABC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Those are the 3. And then we had the rabbit ears that
Yeah.
on TV that you turn.
You have to turn them
to-
just
for the
enough.
channel to
bring
tune it in.
This is just, yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, my dad always made the comment that he had a remote control, and that was me. He'd get up and change the channel, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
It
so
was- Yeah, it's the same kind of thing at our house. We had what we thought would be, we
Yeah.
put this
And-
color thing on the screen, so we had color TV.
Oh my goodness.
and we have they always make fun of me because in Albion and a lot of the towns around here, we have a drainage system for the water. And they call them
yeah.
sewers, but they're actually drainage, just cleared like 4-foot drain pipes underground, and all the water goes in there down to the river.
Yeah.
Well, as a kid, that was one of my playgrounds. I used to get into the pipe at my house
Down
on
to
the
the
corner,
sewer.
and I go all the way up the street in the pipe and pop out at her house. Or go across the street and annoy the old men that sat at the variety store, holler for help out of that pipe and run back and see what they were acting, that kind of thing.
What a
I was
different time.
I was a pretty active kid.
How about you, Bev? Similar? Or?
I was very quiet. I was very quiet. I grew up the oldest of 6 children, and was just I'm quiet. I wasn't.
Yeah.
I had some friends and all, and we just were a few girls that would go to each other's house and bring dolls or whatever we did. It
Yeah.
was just a quiet living. So I wasn't the kind of person who got into a lot of craziness or anything. So, and I was really shy. So
I guess that's proved that opposites attract.
right.
Very nice. So, Now, so George, you get this inkling to join the Marine Corps. Can you talk through that and how that?
Yeah,
came about?
it's interesting how I was working at Drafer Corporation, which was a foundry. We used to pour engine blocks for Ford Motor Company, and we used to do parts for looms and things like that. But it was a foundry, and I was working there, and I was working a night shift. And one time, this young guy, came in, and we happened to be sitting next to him when we were having our break, and he was talking. And we asked him, I guess, where he was from or something like that. He said, "Well, I just got out of the Marine Corps." "Oh, really?" So we talked to him a little bit, and he had just came back from Vietnam and told us a little bit about it. When me and my good friend Hawk, we went to work there together, and we started thinking, "Wow, man, that's pretty cool. We ought to join the Marine Corps." So we talked to the guy 2-3 more times, and finally we said, "We got to do it. We got to join the Marine Corps. We got to go over there too." So I got home one day and told my mom, "Mom, we're joining the Marine Corps." "No, you're not." So she was really upset, because she knew as soon as I joined the Marine Corps, I was going to be dead going to Vietnam. But we did join the Marine Corps, and we went to boot camp under the buddy system back then in I joined November 65.
Wow.
And went to boot camp, and we went under the, what they called back then, they called the aviation guarantee. So we got through boot camp, we went to Memphis to jet school, became jet mechanics.
Wow.
And then went from there to Okinawa, and we were jet mechanics on C-130s, worked on the F-4 Phantom a little bit. And I did 2 years in Okinawa that time. I volunteered to stay an extra year. And then
And we started writing letters.
that's when we started writing each other, and then then I had something to come home for, so
Right.
I didn't extend again. I just came home after the second year.
And he asked his father to ask my father if it was all right that he could write to me.
And then he started writing.
Right.
So then I came back from there and decided to get married. Went to Twentynine Palms when I was an instructor in Twentynine Palms at the time.
Right.
And then from there I went to Okinawa.
Oh, and I went back home that
She
year.
went back here to Rhode Island.
Right.
For
By
a
then
year.
we had Russell.
We had Russell, our youngest son. Russell was a year old. We went to Hawaii for our first tour. And then we did a tour there.
And we had Sean in Hawaii.
Right. Sean was born in Hawaii, so
Right.
he's a Hawaiian.
All right.
Then we came back, went to Beaufort, South Carolina. We went to Beaufort 1 year to the day,
1
June
year to the
4th
day,
to June 4th.
Right. No, I don't remember the dates. He does.
And then went back to Hawaii, right?
Yeah, I think so. We had 2 tours in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So that was
No, we went back to Twentynine Palms.
it's been a while.
I'm trying to remember the sequence, but we went from Beaufort, we went to Okinawa.
Mhm.
And I said, I'm not doing another tour alone.
Right.
So we
went together.
I had 500 pounds
Right.
allocation that I could take. That was it, as a single guy going on an unaccompanied tour. So we packed 500 pounds worth of stuff and went to Okinawa, rented a little apartment. We lived in town,
Yeah, we lived on
which
the
was a
continent.
great experience for Russell,
Yeah.
our youngest son, our oldest son at the time.
Right.
We lived in a little cul-de-sac and got to play with the little Okinawan kids.
Yeah.
He got to ride
Went to school.
a bus
Which
to
is
school on Kadena Air Force Base, but he still
Yeah.
talks
I mean,
about it
that's
and still
experience.
Yeah.
really enjoyed that whole
Yeah.
experience. Then
Now-
we came back and we went to Hawaii.
What year were you two and Russell in Okinawa?
Retired in
85.
85. That would have been in the 70s, late 70s.
Wow, what
Yeah,
a different
70.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Russell was already going to school, so It would have been the late 70s,
Late
because he was
70s.
born in the early 70s. He was
Yeah.
born in 70.
And then we went from Okinawa, we went back to Hawaii.
Right.
And yeah, we went to Hawaii, and Hawaii is where we lost Vincent, our adopted
We
Korean
had
son.
adopted 2 children while we were in Okinawa.
You know,
Wow.
that's right. And that's a
Yeah,
significant.
Melanie and
we,
Vincent. Yeah.
we adopted
What were
2
their
kids
names?
from Korean.
Melanie
2 Korean kids.
and Vincent.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's right. You did mention the story.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable sharing that, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. We were in Hawaii, and we were living right there by the beach.
By the beach.
And every day, just about every day after school, Vincent and Russell would go to the beach and did whatever they did at
Right.
the beach.
They were both good swimmers. We never worried about
I
them.
mean, they were.
so.
They didn't surf or anything. They just liked to play in the beach and the water and stuff. And for some, they never did figure out, but there was what they referred to as a pylon. It was 5 foot in diameter, about 30 feet long. It was a piece of a pier. They know that floated in
Right.
from somewhere in the world,
Wow.
and it was on the beach. And I guess
Rolling in and out.
and
And the boys thought that
Vincent
was fun.
Vincent got on it, was walking on it, and it rolled while he was on it. He fell on the ocean side of it, and then
It rolled over and
it
crushed
rolled
him.
over and
Yeah.
crushed him. The only thing good about the whole thing is the doctor said that when he fell from the injuries he had, when he fell, he hit his head and probably died instantly. So he wasn't,
Probably something in the
wasn't any
ocean.
pain
yeah.
of the thing. So,
But our older son, Russ, had to pull him out of the water and come up to tell me, because I was home and he was at work, that Vincent, well, he didn't know he was dead at the time, but that Vincent had an accident at the beach.
Oh God.
So I don't remember what I did initially, but I know I tried to get you, and you
definitely,
were,
I came home. And, well, I didn't come home.
you went to the
I
hospital.
went directly to the hospital where they had taken Vincent and stuff, and I had to identify him.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't do that. So George did.
So, and out of every negative thing, there's always something positive that
Right.
comes out of it, and we couldn't, for a long time we couldn't figure out what it was, and then we were told that one of my associates, one of the Marines that worked with me, hadn't been to church in almost 20 years, and he came to
Right.
Vincent's funeral,
Right.
and and came back to the church after that.
Mm.
So, that was the good thing that came out
Yeah.
of it.
So it's God always manages to put something good in a bad experience.
So yeah, so that was the good that came out of that real negative situation. And he's buried in
Hawaii.
the National Cemetery in Riverside.
Riverside, that's right. Riverside, California.
So.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And then after that, we, it was a fight. It shouldn't have been, but it was a fight with my commanding officer to get back to Twentynine Palms, where our extended family was. That's the way we wanted to come back and retire. So eventually
His
he
CEO
died.
did not want him
He died Thanksgiving Day, 1984.
Right, 84.
And we got
that's
to
right.
come back to Twentynine Palms in July of 1985. It is
was
what
a
it is,
battle.
and it's not a big deal anymore. But that's how long it took us to come back. We went to Twentynine Palms. I did something like 45 days, 60 days, whatever it was.
Didn't have long
Of
left.
time I had to do there. They assigned me to a computer center, did my time, and retired.
Hey everyone, don't forget to subscribe, like, share.